So then we are back with more understandings from the Renewed Covenant, from the Aramaic English translation of the Scriptures, and lots of new developments coming up, and very importantly are the prophetic events yet to come. We understand from the original manuscript that there are many prophetic events taking place at the same time. So then we begin also learning from the Hebraic understanding of what it means revelation and what is taking place. There are many factors going on in the political part of the country and in many other places of the world. But what does it mean then, the prophetic understanding of the Hebraic line? Where does it fit? So then a person begins to search around and must find the original or the closest copy they can ever get from the Renewed Covenant. The Renewed Covenant explains what the future holds. But then when you read it from the Aramaic translation, you begin to understand that the revelation is going to start truly with the weather changing. This is the most important topic because it gives us the understanding of droughts and famine are coming. So it's not only taking care of our own country, because we understand in 40 years we are going to be behind China. And as much as we want to make this system to work, it won't work. What it does work is coming to the Messiah and then repenting, and then becoming part of the Messianic congregation. This helps. We obviously are going to do our part before the society and do our duties. But we understand where we are coming from, and it is the understanding of the Hebraic prophetic understandings of the Scriptures. The existing copies out there, they were twisted. You must understand the original copy. The closest we have is the Aramaic copy. So then we can be prepared for the future. As we understand, with any government, there is a limit of liberty regarding information. Our country, unfortunately, is far beyond its boundaries. There are so much information available from any direction that the government can barely maintain secrecy anymore. And then the outcome of what they do is predicted by the outcome itself. They begin to understand, because there are so much information related, any other abnormal information that they give then can be matched by what went in and what went out. And then we understand also in the future, in 40 years, then China is going to start taking over the world. There's no if, odds, or buts. We understand from the developments going on in South America that South America is becoming a very strong also part of the world's economy. So then we must prepare ourselves to be part of the prophetic understanding of the Hebraic line of prophecy of the future. It's not going to impede us of doing our own duties, but it's going to alert us in what to expect in the future. You begin to read the Renewed Covenant from the Aramaic, we understand it's going to have an atomic blast at some point. Third part of the ships destroyed. Where do you think are the most concentration of ships that we are going to have in the planet? China, Singapore, around the Asian area. You understand the oceans. A third part of the oceans are going to be contaminated with petroleum. What would cause a third part of the oceans to be contaminated with? Petroleum, petrochemicals. So then we understand also that the temperature is rising, and then it states also many areas where there's going to be fires. What does it say? The heat condition in the Middle East is going to increase a lot. And then shortly after, then obviously the atomic blast. And how do we then put together this Hebraic understanding of the prophetic events to come? We then are circumspect. We begin to analyze in a secular way first, and then we begin to analyze in layers of prophetic understanding. That's why the Greco-Roman copy of the scriptures is bogus. People don't understand it because they were twisted in purpose. If you begin to read it from the Aramaic and understand where the Messiah came from, then you begin to understand the layers of prophetic events. So then when Shaul the Shaliach, he began to preach and to teach the relink of the human spirit back to the Creator, he pointed out the understanding of the holy seasons as prophetic shadows. So these would help the people to be lined up with the prophetic events to come. And then they would prepare themselves as such. They would not use as a means of control, they would simply prepare themselves. This is what he meant. As we understand, the government of this country is having ideas of having a presence in Australia. Where do you think this situation came from? Because we understand China is going to be very influential in the next 40 years. We want to have a presence in the Pacific and to monitor what's going on. But then the political tensions after these 4 years is going to be very intense. There is unrest in the Middle East, lots of political troubles, wars, and then China taking over the world. They have a very strong visionary plans for South America. The South American countries, they are thinking on building the Trans-Amazon Highway from south to north. There are talks going on. It's a huge project. And there is a huge increase also in delivery of materials and also products from China to the South American countries. On Brazil in itself, there is a huge increase, as much as maximum of 50% of what they are delivering. It's a huge amount. And then the Panama Canal being extended in a couple of years, huge tankers can go through. And then, as we know, Trans-Amazon goes from east to west, and then from north to south is going to link up the other countries. And imagine the power of China then involved in it, because of the inexpensive products. Countries on the north, they're going to buy more. And then the IMF already predicted we must change our own monetary system because the market is inflated with the paper money. And it's not matching up with the value in the market. And they predicted 40 years we are behind China. So we must prepare ourselves and understanding the events of the Hebraic prophetic in what is coming. We won't have the same liberties as we have today in the internet in the next 40 years. It's going to have a huge change. And then there are going to be more secrets. As you understand, there is no YouTube in China. Why do you think it doesn't have? Because causes at times a lot of trouble. Unconfirmed videos causes people to be undisciplined. And when the country then starts to faltering in the political scene and also in the economical scene, what do? They begin to regulate information. That's why China is very regulated in terms of information to the public. But they have a very strong, powerful economical system. But it is protected because they do their homework, do they not? And as much as liberty as we have, then watch our country, because we believe in a false Messiah. And then the word became non-relevant. When then the prophetic understanding from the original manuscript, as we have the closest from the Aramaic, shows us that we are entering in a revelation. Watch the weather. Begin to read the first portion of Revelation, and you will find there the Megillahs, and you find there the Megillah with the 7 seals. What is it related with? Drought, famine, and what's going on the earth? Temperature is rising, isn't it? Showing there is more drought coming and famine. And then we begin to analyze, and IMF is very, very precise in what they predict. It is very scary, even to the point, because it's not related with the Bible or related with manuscripts of any kind of a religion. It's a pure secular understanding of the world's market. Yet it is very, very precise. The organization IMF, they are not playing games. They are reporting to the countries they were entrusted with reliable information of every country, so they managed it. If IMF is saying we must change our monetary system, it's because they are aware of the potential of the other countries and their markets. If they say we are going to be behind China in 40 years, we are going to be behind China in 40 years. That's why we are requesting a presence in Australia, because we want to monitor then the Pacific. And then in 40 years, as we then are behind another country, then we want to know what's going on. And then it's going to become a political fight for supremacy. And then it doesn't take much for a person to understand that at some point is going to have a bomb released over there in Asia. Does it? Third shofar, begin to read. And he saw then as it was a burning lamp that came from the heaven. Political uncertainty, political fights, because there is a country that was supremacy involved in the past and can't be no longer. And then the country that earned, because China is earning this position of the world's leadership. They are earning through work. So then we want then to take over, because then we were before and we want to yet be in charge, and then we can't anymore, and then China has the proper earnings to do it, and then they will. And then it's going to become a fight. So then we can prepare ourselves for the future based in what we've learned from the Hebraic understanding of the prophetic events. It's truly scary what's coming out there. Very scary, because if you observe, China is socialist. They are disciplined people. They don't let information to run away as a train without a control. No, they control the information flow. And our country, unfortunately, because of so many liberties, lost its control. So then it's a bit scary, because when IMF speaks in a secular understanding, let's listen and take the proper measures. We have an outdated military and also an outdated number. We can't match anymore China. We are behind in the technology and behind in people. So we can't truly place our hope in our government. We must place our hope in the Mashiach. And then being prepared for the future. And then encouraging each other of maintaining the faith that was given to us by the set apart. Set apart people, those are the Hebrews. They are obedient in their camps. So then, in the future, we must first have where are we at with the Creator's calendar. Where we are then related with the prophetic events. Where are we? We can't only going up and down sideways and not having a spiritual understanding of it. We must be acquainted with it. Because we are entering into Revelation. The weather is changing and indicating, boy, famine is coming, drought is coming, high temperatures, indicating the scriptures, they are very precise. But not from the Greco-Roman translation. Because the Greco Empire is busted, Roman Empire is busted, and we are busted. Because we have believed the false Messiah. But the Hebraic understanding is always up to date. On schedule. Per the Creator's calendar, we are in 6012. And those were calculated by using the Barley Aviv. It was determined. We are in 6012. This 2012 was concocted. It was a Babylonian calculated junky calendar. We are in 6012. That's where we are at in a Creator's calendar. In the prophetic, we are in a reduction of the couple thousand years granted when he spent a couple days with the Samaritans. So the reducing of the time for the benefit of the set-apart Hebrews so they can return to their camps to resume the second service. Because they were granted with the first anointing and there is the second anointing coming. Plain and simple, uncomplicated. So then we can resume our duties. Yet always firmly grounded in the Mashiach. And he is the Mashiach that obeys the seventh day, the Shabbat. So then we come together in the Shabbat and we spend the day reading and sharing with other people. Because if we are in sin, we won't understand then the prophetic events. So very important. So this gives us a step forward in the study even further. But then we understand there is no church outside of the camps. Those were concocted. Concocted lies. The churches are in the camps of the Hebrews. After Yahweh's ascension, he went around the world forming holy lands. That's where the church is at. So then we come to him via his people and we wait at the gate for more teachings. Much more coming up.